Today we have the redesigned legendary Toyota Land Cruiser. This Land Cruiser gets a major overhaul. It looks a lot different. It's got completely different hardware underneath. And we're gonna take a full detailed look at the exterior, the interior, and get it out on the road for a test drive and see what this new Land Cruiser is all about. All right, y'all, let's take a quick look at the exterior of this brand new redesigned Land Cruiser, and it's got a couple distinct different looks. So first of all, with the trims, the 1958 version is the base model, then there's the Land Cruiser, which we have here, and then the first edition, which is the top model, and two of them have the round headlights. So up front, we're gonna get the Heritage grille right here. This is kind of a plain looking hood, but overall I do like this front end. You're gonna get LED headlights, no matter if you have these horizontal headlights or the round headlights. You've got an LED daytime running light up there. And you even get these rigid industry fog lights on the top two trims, which give you selectable colors. So you've got LED like clear white, bright white, or yellow. And the yellow really does make a difference when you are off-road or in the fog especially. Yellow can help you see better, and that is really cool that Toyota gives us that. Another thing up front is that you've got a front skid plate, a transmission and transfer case skid plate standard, and we've even got tow hooks. Now the paint color on this Land Cruiser is actually a two-tone. You can see the different color on the roof, but this is smoky blue with the two-tone roof. I like this blue on this Land Cruiser. I think it looks nice. The wheels are gonna range from 18 to 20-inch wheels. Most of them are gonna come standard with 18, but you can option up for 20-inch if you want to. I don't think they fit the Land Cruiser great, but I like these 18-inch wheels. You've got some pretty big tires on here. The running boards are actually standard on this particular model, so keep that in mind. Rock rails will come on the first edition instead of these running boards. In length here, dimensionally, it's 196.4 inches and only 8 inches of ground clearance. That's not great, but this does have a ton of articulation, so that can really make up for it. And in terms of the roof rack, so you get a roof rack standard on the first edition, but this is an optional roof rack on this model. It's large, it sits up pretty high, and it really adds to the character and the look of this iconic looking Land Cruiser. There are no roof rails on the 1958 model, so keep that in mind. And then we've got LED taillights back here, a couple cool features back here as well. You've got this glass can open up, so check it out. I think that is awesome, easy to grab in, but you still have an actual full-on lift gate. Now a closer look at the cargo area. There's no hands-free access, but there is a power lift gate on the top two models. The 1958 does not have a power lift gate, despite the price you pay for everything else in this vehicle. The floor is kind of high, so you don't have quite as much room as you might expect. There's actually just under 40 cubic feet back here. But a couple other cool things. You've got a little spot for a cargo net. You've got a 2400 watt inverter, so a 3-prong outlet with a ton of power over there. We even have a little section for cup holders right there, or first aid kit on each side. You've got a couple of USB-C plugs as well. Another thing is that Toyota actually gives you a full-size spare tire under the vehicle. Of course, as they should with this, you can see even tow hooks back here as well, so that is fantastic to see. Under this floor is even a little bit more storage built in right here. Right up under there, there is a little bit of tie down. So you've got metal tie downs on each side there. You can pull this back, be a little easier from the second door area, but there's some extra storage. You've also got part of your jack kit there. So not a bad cargo space. It's big and boxy, but not quite as much as you might expect in terms of actual cubic feetage or cubic footage. Now getting in back here, we can fold this down. There's a couple options. You can either have this flat like that. It's not flat with the load floor, or you can have it up like this, depending on what you want. We've seen this in other Toyota models. Same situation with that side to give you extra cargo space. All right, Toyota gives us the smart key system as standard, and this key fob has the little leather glove on it that Toyota gives you. Standard key fob. Otherwise, you will get a smart key standard on every single trim. However, it's not on the back door, it's just on the front door. And if you 3 press and hold the lock button, it will automatically start for you. With it being a hybrid, sometimes you might not hear it, but obviously you heard this one. The running boards are standard on this model, not on the other ones, so keep that in mind. The mirrors are power folding. This button locks it right down there, this little line. Otherwise, you have a sensor in the back. And unlike older Toyotas, it actually continues to run after you open the door with remote start. Now the seats are interesting. So the base model is going to give you heated fabric seats with manual adjustability. Obviously this is power here. Otherwise you're going to get Softex material or leather. We have the premium package, so we have leather on this model, and it is really nice. I like the color in here as well. It's very supple and soft. Overall, it's a comfortable seat. And we've got just two-way lumbar and your basic height and tilt and recline functions. No extravagant adjustments on this expensive vehicle. It's just what you need, and these seats are still pretty comfortable. Over here, the steering wheel is also leather wrapped. You've got power adjustability on the steering wheel too, so you know, kind of your basic leather seats, and then power adjustable wheel. There's also a grab handle up here and a grab handle on the other side. I've put over a couple hundred miles on this Land Cruiser, and I've been comfortable the whole time. I like not only the ride height, the seats are soft and comfortable, but the headrest is not intrusively far forward, and these seats are heated and ventilated on this model as well. And we have memory settings, so when you start it up, you've got the entry exit system to move your seat as well. So you get some of those higher end type luxury type of features with the off-road capability in here. Now climbing into the back. So for your passengers, you've got a nice soft panel right here, a decent grab handle here as well, and a couple of built-in bottle holders. Running boards extend, and at night there's even a light that shines out onto the running board. But let's go ahead and hop in and see how much space we have. One note is there is a grab handle on both sides, so you can see over there as well. That is always good. Now I'm 5'9". This is where I have the seat, and sitting behind myself, I've got plenty of knee space. I've got decent foot space, so the back seat room is good overall. We also have our own climate controls back here, which is good to see. So this is an automatic climate control where you can adjust the temperature and the fan speed or have it be automatic. We've also got a 12-volt power outlet down here and two USB-C charging ports as well. There's a pretty hefty hump in the middle, so I don't expect middle passengers to be common or comfortable. To carry all of your stuff, you've got a mat pocket in the back of each seat. Especially in a vehicle like this, that's good to see. You can throw gloves or tools or anything extra like that that you'd probably be bringing with you going adventuring with this vehicle. Center folding armrest with cup holders that actually have little accommodation rings to get smaller or larger drinks in here as well. Now, in terms of air conditioning vents, we have them straight up overhead. Got an old blank handle over here as well. And there's plenty of headroom. You've got a boxy design, and these seats can recline, so you can still get fairly comfortable back here. Really nothing to complain about. I'm just surprised that in our model, we don't have heated seats. You know, I'm not expecting the luxuries in here, but maybe expect that. All right, so let's go ahead and start it up and take a look at the interior of this new Land Cruiser. Looks nothing like it did before. This definitely looks like more of the modern Toyota, the way things are set up, but stuff is still set up in a practical orientation where it's not complicated. It's not all touchscreen reliant. But over here on the door, we've got soft material. This is nice and comfortable to rest your arm, and a big broad ledge to rest your arm there too. This armrest is kind of small down here, but it is padded. Good solid grip right there. Your memory settings are up here, and then the bottle holders and storage down there. Let's try my big old mug. Nope, this is not gonna fit in there. It's too tall, too big, but most probably will. Now over here on the steering wheel, I like the controls and the layout of the steering wheel. First of all, want to make a note, you can see the flashing lights up here. This is the driver monitor, the little sensors in there. You cannot see that in person, it is only on the camera. But one note about it being right there that I have noticed in the last couple Toyota vehicles, you know, this isn't correct to have your hand up here, but I like to do this sometimes. And when it is there, the sensor says it cannot see me, even if it maybe can like that. It'll beep and flash and go crazy at me, especially if cruise control is on. So a little bit annoying, but obviously that's not the way you're supposed to hold the wheel. So the volume control is right down here. Got your phone right there. You can control our screen with the buttons on here as well. Our cruise control, adaptive cruise, lane centering technology, all of that can be controlled here. And then you can adjust more on the screen for the driver assist features. So we have rain sensing windshield wipers over here as well, which is nice. Turn your fog lights on with that, and then to change the color of the fog lights, you literally just press this button. So it will toggle between, let me turn the headlights on. It'll toggle between yellow or white. So there you go. Interior brightness control. You can turn off your rear collision avoidance right there, which is kind of nice to actually have a button dedicated for that. If you're off-roading, you're going to want to do that. Power button right there, open up your lift gate, fuel door, and you have a trailer brake controller down there. I'm glad we have that, even though our trailering capability isn't great. You could still tow some trailers big enough with their own trailer brakes. Now our model gives us a large display here. This is about a foot display. The base model is going to give you a 7-inch display, and this is pretty accurate to what I've averaged. It was mainly like 19.6, 19.5 before I started filming. Not great miles per gallon. I even reset it a couple times to see in different stretches if it would be better. Most of the time it didn't do all that great with efficiency. Still better than the old Land Cruiser, but not 22 to 25 like it's supposed to. You can change a few different preset views to where you can customize what information you see there in the middle or on the right side. You can also use your steering wheel and screen to change a variety of different settings pertaining to a lot of different stuff. And then we have a head-up display. It's kind of hard to see. It is flashing just because of the camera, but that is something that is optional on this model and standard on the first edition. So it does show a good amount of information when you are driving. Didn't expect to see that in the Land Cruiser, but we get it. The volume knob sits right here, kind of funny, sticking out right there, but you got a big screen over here. This is the standard screen on the top two trims. Otherwise, it's an 8-inch screen on the 1958 model, which will give you wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and a 6-speaker audio system. Now here's our wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It works well on here. It looks good, and I love the fact that it is wireless. The other thing that we have in here is the JBL audio system. So JBL audio, I think the JBL systems usually sound good in these Toyotas. This is a very familiar infotainment setup to what I've showed you in other Toyotas and in Lexuses. So depending on where you go, you can see specific trip information right here. This is where you can kind of reset some of that. Go to the settings icon, scroll down, and you'll see that we have Wi-Fi. You can have your own different personal settings for your personal profile while driving, and a ton of different customizable controls. Let me see what else we got on this screen. So if we go into reverse, we have a dynamic backup camera, obviously, but we also have this panoramic view monitor. So it's nice to see you have a big vehicle. The fact that you can see that is pretty nice. Down from there, we have our climate control. So we have another zone in the back, and we've got dual zone up here. Your heated and ventilated seat controls are up here. You've got automatic function, and then this is a simple layout. I like the way that Toyota has this laid out, so you have physical controls without it being cumbersome or clunky or just touch screen, because I don't think anybody wants just a touch screen in the Land Cruiser. Down here, we've got a quick button to get to our camera. That's how you do that. You also have 3 USB-C charging ports. You've got a wireless charging mat down there, a little extra room for storage. I'll show you some of the fun stuff in a second. The shifter is straightforward, very typical Toyota. The cup holders accommodate a wide variety of drinks. And check out everything else that we have right here. So this button, or this dial right here, controls a few different things. So we've got our drive mode selected. You can spin the dial, and then on the screen, it's going to toggle. So we've got sport mode, you've got normal mode, and you've got eco mode, which is going to keep you in the hybrid mode or electric mode as much as possible. But then We have the multi-terrain select, which we have seen from Toyota a number of times. You can have it be an auto. You've got dirt, sand, mud, and deep snow, and the vehicle will do the rest to get you out of those specific scenarios. And then we've got downhill assist and their crawl control. So the crawl control is like an off-road cruise control. It works great. I've used it before, not in this particular model, but very easy to operate controls right here. And I like how you can choose which one you do to spin the dial. Back here's an electronic parking brake, a brake hold button. I also like that. Traction control, and this is where you can lock your center differential, lock your rear differential, and disconnect your front sway bar. So you can get maximum articulation when you're off-roading. Disconnect that. That is a feature on here. And since it's a full-time four-wheel drive, we are in 4 high, but then you can still go down into a low range four-wheel drive. Now coming back, this armrest is pretty large, nice and soft. Lift it up, we have the optional cool box. So it is essentially a refrigerated section right there. It's a cooler, and it does work well. It's small, so it eats up some of your storage space. I would rather have a big console, but that's just me. You can turn it off if you want to. And then coming over here, so Toyota really put in some nice materials here. This dash material is nice. Everything looks good. We don't have piano black plastic all over the place in here, which is good. This is a locking glove box, but it is a pretty small glove box overall, at least kind of in my opinion for a vehicle like this, but at least it is lockable. One other cool feature that we have right here is this digital rearview mirror. That's an option on this model. Otherwise you'll get a typical auto dimming mirror with a garage. The first edition gets this standard. First edition gets everything pretty much standard. So you can have it be a regular auto dimming mirror with the garage controls, or a digital mirror where you have great visibility looking out the back. And we get a sunroof overhead, or a moonroof, on these top 2 models. It's just your standard size moonroof. So again, those of you that want kind of a basic vehicle, you can get that base 1958 model, no sunroof, no power seats, things like that. We have all LED interior lighting. And then one complaint is with the visor. The visor doesn't move. It's just this little guy. Now under the hood is where the biggest change comes for me, at least. You know, the last Land Cruiser, we had an 8-cylinder, at least here in the US. It was their 5.7 liter V8. Under here, it is now significantly smaller. It's less than half the size. It's a turbo, but it's gas and hybrid. So it's not a diesel, it's not a V8, it's a 4-cylinder turbo hybrid. Let's go over the specs. So under here is our iForce Max 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder hybrid with 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. Even though this is a small engine, that is an insane amount of torque and still a healthy amount of horsepower. It still comes with an 8-speed automatic transmission. And for the hybrid system, it uses their nickel metal hydride battery. Toyota's been using that battery for a long time. It is not the lithium ion battery. And this nickel metal hydride battery has proven itself to be long-lasting and reliable. A couple things is that it is a full-time four-wheel drive system. You've got a locking rear differential and a locking center differential. Maximum towing is just 6,000 pounds. That is a big drop compared to the last generation. And miles per gallon is quite a bit improved though with this type of powertrain at 22 city, 25 highway, and 23 miles per gallon combined. All right, y'all, we are now behind the wheel of this Land Cruiser, and I gotta say, it feels completely different than the original, or the previous generation Land Cruiser. Just on the fact that you can tell and feel that the engine, or mainly here, that the engine is so much smaller. It's not a, you know, a huge negative because of the torque, the hybrid capability, the improved efficiency, and the fact that Toyota's been making hybrids for a long time. So I would hope that this would continue to be a reliable powertrain. But one thing I want to mention, this has Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. So you've got the adaptive radar cruise control, lane centering technology. This can even change lanes for you if you signal the blinker. It has proactive driving assist to when you're not in like stop and go, or when you're not in cruise control. It will still almost act like an adaptive type of function because it will proactively brake throughout driving. It's interesting. If you're approaching somebody not in cruise control, it's going to do that. You can turn that off or on, of course. This also has a variable gear ratio steering wheel. So something a little more high-end from Toyota that we get on this Land Cruiser. Now, overall first impressions is that this still feels tall and boxy, and that's exactly what it is. But when you're driving this around, it's got a completely distinct feel compared to, let's say, like the Toyota Sequoia, the Toyota Grand Highlander, some of their bigger crossovers, and the SUV Sequoia. But it feels different. It doesn't have that same kind of planted feel. It feels more topsy-turvy. It's got a different suspension setup. It's meant to go off-road, obviously, but it's still comfortable. It is still a comfortable ride, comfortable seats. We've got a big bump right here, and it just literally, that bump rattles so many different vehicles. Not in this thing. Let's get pedal down. So this does have a lot of torque. That's going to be one of the biggest draws of this hybrid powertrain option. You've got a turbo, and then you've got the electric power from the hybrid. So if you do just a little partial pedal, the power comes out very quick. It's very punchy. It's a real punchy powertrain. The only time I really wish we had more power with this is when I was passing someone on a highway. You've got initial torque and bump, but the actual horsepower number and pull as you get higher into the RPMs is lacking. And I wish that was not the case, considering the price and the prestige of the Land Cruiser nameplate, but that's just the way we went. You're supposed to get a lot more efficiency in here, and I believe you probably can, depending on where you're driving, how you're driving, because you can milk these hybrids pretty well. But this doesn't have the same hybrid setup as some of the lighter, smaller, more efficient hybrids, where you've actually got like a dedicated EV button. You can kind of control that. This is like their newer one in the Tacoma. The Tundra has a different one as well, and it's a different setup. Let me put us in sport mode. Pedal down. Sport mode does up the ante a little bit, and your brakes do work well, but sport mode holds the RPMs up, especially with partial pedal. The powertrain just is ready to get going. And if you shift into eco mode, this is going to try to keep you in the hybrid, or the more, use a little bit more electric power, dulls the throttle. So if you're curious about what it means, this being a hybrid, you don't have to plug it in. It's self-sustaining. You don't have to do anything different than driving a normal vehicle. It just has a little bit extra assist of power from the battery pack and electric motor. So you've got a little bit of electric power like you get in electric vehicles, but not as much as a full-on EV. But that adds to its efficiency, and it's self-sustaining. It charges the battery itself, so you don't have to worry about that. Ergonomically in here, everything is really easy to use and operate, and within reach. I have zero complaints as far as that goes. It's really been a joy to drive. I have enjoyed driving this. It's got that off-roady, tall ride height, kind of, you know, topsy-turvy type of vehicle feeling to it, without being lazy and completely out of control. I mean, I have really enjoyed driving it. I like these types of vehicles, and I'm happy to see the Land Cruiser back here. Even though I wish the powertrain was maybe a little bit different, I do appreciate the improved efficiency, a lot of torque that you get out of here. But I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Let's go ahead and wrap things up. So to wrap things up on this new Toyota Land Cruiser, I love that Toyota is still giving us a Land Cruiser. It's a little bit smaller. It's got a new, completely new hybrid powertrain that still gives you a lot of power and torque and more plug-in options inside. It still has all the off-road chops that you would probably expect, with the disconnecting sway bar. You've got the locking differentials, and it's just a Land Cruiser. Not to mention, it gets a significant price reduction. Still expensive, but much more attainable now. And I'd love to hear what your thoughts are of this down below. I can't wait to show you the new 4Runner as well. Got the Lexus GX coming up soon too. So Toyota's newest SUVs, can't wait to show you. But let me know what you think of this Land Cruiser. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.